Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 8th of February, now it's almost 2 o'clock, middle of the day, Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is plenty of very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me ask you once again to hit that like button if you find my videos interesting. Leave some commentary about any topic you like. And if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, or any other internet platform that you are active on. That will greatly increase my chances to reach wider audience, and I will be very grateful for this help. That being said, let's talk about news now, and I will start with Turkey and Syria, because as you know, devastating earthquake hit these countries 2 days ago, and the TASS news agency is reporting that in Turkey 7,108 people are dead, 40,910 people are injured. In Syria, 812 people are dead and more than 1,400 people are injured. In yesterday's update, I did mention that many countries do provide assistance for Turkey, which is absolutely normal reaction. That's how it's supposed to be. But situation is quite different when we talk about Syria. And even though Russia, Iran, Lebanon, and a few other countries did provide and providing assistance to Syrian government, I did read an article this morning which says that many countries find it hard to help Syria because of the Western sanctions. And when I was reading this, and the governments of those countries were asking Western elites to ease sanctions on Syria so that they will be able to send humanitarian aid without afraiding or without being scared of Western sanctions. And when I was reading this article, and I was thinking to myself, what kind of humans those so-called Western elites are, that even in these devastating times for Syria and Syrian nation, they are not easing sanctions. What kind of humans they are really? You know, and probably this situation is one more reason why states outside of West should unite to somehow isolate Western elites and try to escape from domination of the West. Because it's just obviously not normal when countries cannot provide help because they are afraid of Western sanctions. This is not normal, for God's sake. Let's continue with news, and next is Ukraine and special military operation, of course. This is RIA Novosti news agency's report here, which is based on statements from head of Ahmad Special Force Unit, Abdi Alaudinov, who said that units of Wagner PMC and Russian armed forces did manage to take control over the few more streets inside Bakhmut. When I was reading this information, and I just imagine how horrible situation is in Bakhmut, that opposite sides are fighting for every corner, every street, every building. It must be scary as hell, man, what is happening in Bakhmut. And Alaudinov also is saying that situation for Ukrainian side becoming more and more difficult because Russian forces are managing to get closer to establish full control over the highway between Bakhmut and Konstantinovka. I'll show you this on the map. Just a sec. This is Bakhmut here. And even this pro-Ukrainian map is showing that there is fighting going on in this area. And this is Chasov Yar and this is Konstantinovka. And this highway, H32, is only one which can be used by Ukrainian forces that are stationed in Bakhmut to retreat in mass. But even this highway is under, as you can see, under Russian fire control, so I cannot imagine how Ukrainian side can withdraw with the equipment if they will decide to do so. Small units probably can somehow manage to escape, but big units with equipment, no. Bakhmut is basically Bakhmut is in encirclement at this point. You can call it operational encirclement. You can call it whatever you want or like, but big units already are unable to leave Bakhmut without being seen from Russian side, and then it's matter of artillery and aviation to take out these units. So situation in Bakhmut becoming more and more desperate for a garrison of this city, but for this moment there is no order from Zelensky to allow these forces to retreat. When it comes to this area, Bakhmut direction, I have to give you update about Krasnaya Gora, because few days ago we did receive information by big telegram channels that Krasnaya Gora is under full Russian control, but I did not find any evidence to prove this, so I assume Krasnaya Gora is divided between Russian and Ukrainian sides, and they are fighting inside this town for this moment. There are some Russian offensive movements in direction of Seversk 2, which is here, and very heavy clashes. You can see here, even on this map, pro-Ukrainian map. And it's only a matter of time when Russian side will establish control over the Yampol here, and once that happens, Seversk will become in operational encirclement too. And even now, if Zelensky's regime were caring about its soldiers and their lives, even now this garrison in Seversk should have order to retreat in direction of Slavyansk, but probably we will see situation in Seversk like in Bakhmut will repeat itself, Yet again, when it comes to updates, let me give you some correction about Marinka, which is here, because a few days ago we also have heard reports by big telegram channels that Marinka was under full Russian control, but I didn't see any evidence of it. So that's why I assume that this settlement is also divided between Russian and the Ukrainian side. I just find the information that Russian forces did manage to establish some new positions in this settlement, but when it comes to full control over the Marinka, it's early to say that Marinka is full Russian control. When it comes to Ugledar, one more hotspot. In this direction, I don't see any information that Russian side was making some conducting some big offensive operations. It seems like for now, For now, artillery duels between sides are taking place, and yes, there is some reports that Russian offensive continues in this area, but at least for now, Ugledar is under control of Ukrainian forces. I will read for you update that was provided by Rebor channel. Rebor is one of the biggest channels on Telegram, which is providing information about special military operation, and it will just take a few seconds. I will read it for you. Chronicles of strikes and mutual shelling in the special military operations zone during the night of February 7 to 8, 2023. The Russian armed forces has targeted Inzarutsky, Popovka, and Satki in the Sumy region. These settlements were become under Russian fire. Then Russian troops inflicted at least 6 strikes on Kharkov, the Kharkov aviation plant. I did read this morning that Kharkov aviation plant was targeted, and I even share video on my Telegram with the launch of Iskander missiles, Russian Iskander missiles, and probably this aviation plant in Kharkov was hit by Russian Iskanders, even though we will know for sure only after Russian Defense Ministry will provide more information about it. This is my Telegram channel, and if you want to see more and more updates every day, you can subscribe. As you can see, I do share tens of informations about different stuff on my Telegram. So yeah, let's continue with this chronicle. So as I said, Kharkov aviation plant was hit, and several other buildings also was hit. Then when it comes to Starobelsk direction, the Russian armed forces attacked positions of Ukrainian forces in Kupiansk, Turechная, Берестовая, and Krahmalная. Okay. Then in Bakhmut direction, Russian missile troops and artillery worked on manpower and equipment. So that means Russian missile troops and artillery did shell manpower and equipment of armed forces of Ukraine inside the Bakhmut. Also in Berestovaya, Krasnaya Gora, and Razdolovka, which is proving that Krasnaya Gora is not under full Russian control. Then Ukrainian armed forces in their turn fired at Nikolaevka, Kurdyumovka, and Klishchevka. In Donetsk direction, Russian armed forces conduct offensive operation on the positions of armed forces of Ukraine in Avdiivka, Pobeda, and on outskirts of Marinka. Ukrainian formations again fired at civilian buildings in Donetsk, Gorlovka, Vodinoe, Ambrosievka, and surrounding settlements. In Yuzhnodonetsk direction, Russian troops worked on accumulation of enemy manpower in Ugledar, Zolotoy, Niva, Novomikhailivka, and Neskuchny. In Zaporozhye region, positions of armed forces of Ukraine in Orekhovo, Gulyai-Pole, Stepanovo, and Mali Sherbaki came under attack of Russian armed forces. In Dnepropetrovsk region, Russian forces worked on targets in Nikopol. In southern sector of the front, Russian armed forces carried out strikes on the facilities of armed forces of Ukraine in Milovoye, Mikhailovka, Antonovka, and Yantami. So, yeah, that's update for you about Frontline, which was provided by Ribor, a Telegram channel, one of the biggest one. And you can see here right now update is coming from Turkey that 8,574 people are dead as a result of devastating earthquake. It's a tragedy, of course. So when it comes to Ukraine and special military operation, we have more statements from head of Ahmad Special Force Unit, Abdi Al-Wadinov, who said that Zelensky's regime is sending more and more reinforcements in Donbass direction, including from western regions of Ukraine. And that shows you that Zelensky's regime truly has some difficulties with manpower, because they are throwing into battle now the last reserves, or at least it seems like. So let's continue. This is still RIA Novosti, which is providing statement from one of the officials in Zaporozhye region, Vladimir Rogov, who stated that because US had decided to provide Ukraine with rockets that have range 150 kilometers, then it's becoming obvious for Russian side to move front line from Russian border at least for 150 kilometers deep inside Ukraine, so that Russian territory will be secure. Quite logical statement, to be honest, but it's not gonna be easy. Let's say this way, at least for now. Once Russian side will conduct large-scale offensive operations, which is expected by many, including me, then we may see this kind of development when Russia will establish some kind of buffer zone between its borders and territories that are controlled by Zelensky's Nazi regime. But for now, I don't see how, in current situation, I don't see how Russian side will be able to achieve this kind of goal. Let's continue. Here we have, this is TASS News Agency, and we have, let me see how many minutes. It's already 19 minutes, so I will try to give you a few more updates, and that's it for this video. So here, this is TASS News Agency, who is providing statement from Russian MP Pushkov, and no, he is a Russian senator. He was MP, but he is now Russian senator. Alexei Pushkov, former journalist, and current journalist. He has some program on one of the channels, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, we have statement from him that in which he's saying that it's notable now, it's noticeable that there is some divisions inside USA between society, or at least one part of society, and US elites, because more and more people in US do realize that involvement of US involvement in Ukrainian conflict has nothing to do with the interests of US citizens. And this is basically true because we really see more and more activities from civil society in USA against war, against US involvement in this conflict. And I think once more and more people will learn what kind of dangers, in what kind of danger US government is putting US citizens because of its involvement in this conflict in Ukraine, probably more US citizens will join this anti-war movement. Because I'm quite sure many US citizens don't find Ukraine on the map. Sorry, but I'm quite sure this is the case. And it's hard for me to believe that US society will applaud US government if they knew that this US involvement may end up in may provoke nuclear exchange between Russia and US, for example. I don't think US citizens will like this. And in this sense, I don't see who can disagree with Pushkov. In 25th of February, even in London, will be demonstration against war and against British involvement in Ukrainian conflict. At least I did read this kind of information, but let's see. I would not be surprised if British government will won't allow this kind of demonstration to take place. Time will tell. Let's continue. And we have RIA Novosti news agency, and we have information, as you know, or you may don't know, but Zelensky today will visit Great Britain, United Kingdom, and of course he will ask for more weapons and more money, and British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak will promise him more weapons and more money. And we have here information that according to Office of British Prime Minister, UK already decided to provide Ukraine with provide Zelensky's Nazi regime. We should understand that when we're talking about Ukraine, we are talking about Zelensky's Nazi regime. So London already did decide to provide Ukraine with long-range weapons. What these long-range weapons are, we don't know yet. But this report says that decision was already made. So probably later on today, we will find out what kind of long-range weapons London will provide. Probably missiles. But I would not be surprised if London will promise Zelensky to provide them, for example, with Tornado jet fighters, multi-role jets. It will take many months for Ukrainian pilots to learn how to fly on let's say, Tornado. And I'm quite sure if those planes will be provided to Ukraine, British pilots will fly on them, or at least try to fly once, because they don't have a chance to do it again. But it is what it is. UK is escalating, US is escalating, and we are closer and closer to day when Russia will say, you know what, enough is enough. Now we will give you what you deserve, and then then whole hell will broke out. This is TASS news agency, which is providing information about Germany's decision to deliver to Ukraine 178 Leopard 1 tanks. As you know, Berlin did promise Ukraine to provide 14 modern Leopard 2 A6 tanks, and after that, Berlin did decide to give to Ukraine, to Zelensky's Nazi regime, 178 Leopard 1 MBTs. And this information is saying that which deputy chancellor of Germany could not answer on the question how many Leopard 1 tanks will be provided to Ukraine in before end of the spring. In the first 3 months of this year, let's say this way. But they did promise 178 tanks. What can I say about Leopard 1s, man? They are obsolete in every way. But anyway, this decision is one more step from Germany to escalate with Russia. Any weapons that Western states are sending to Zelensky's Nazi regime is escalation. And these Leopard 1 tanks also can do some damage. Even if they are like 50 years old or so. They still have a gun which can fire shells. And as I said, by every day we are getting closer to the point when Moscow will say enough is enough. And if Western society wants it, then okay. Because we here in Russia, we cannot influence on the Western elites. What can we do? Nothing. But Western societies, in Europe, in North America, they can somehow at least try to influence the elites and force them to withdraw from this conflict. Let's continue. This is RT is reporting. As you know, yesterday, Russian Defense Minister provided some update on losses from Ukrainian side, and by latest information, in previous months, in January, Zelensky's Nazi regime lost 6,500 military personnel, 26 aircraft, 7 helicopters, 208 unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, basically, 341 tanks, and other armored combat vehicles, and 40 MLRS, multi-launch rocket systems. Just look at this number, man. In 1 month, Ukraine lost 341 tanks and other armored vehicles, armored personnel carriers, basically. That's why many military experts and just everyone, basically, who providing information, who are objective and providing information about this conflict. That's why everyone or most of them are saying that those tanks that Western countries did promise to Ukraine will don't play any crucial role, because Ukraine is losing hundreds and hundreds of tanks every month. And for example, these German Leopard 1 tanks, they made maximum, their lifespan on the battle will be, let's say, 1 month. And after 1 month from these 178 tanks, if they will be delivered, maybe only few will be left in western Ukraine somewhere. You know, if Zelensky's regime managed to hide them. But yet again, escalation is escalation. These steps mean that Western elites are willing to escalate furthermore with Russia. And that's why I'm saying that we are too close. We are every day becoming more and more closer to the point when Moscow will say, okay, that's enough, man. Now our turn. And I believe no one in the West gonna like what Moscow's true answer will be. Let's continue. This is TASS News Agency, and we have information about U.S. President's speech towards Senate and the Congress that he gave just a few hours ago. And even though he did not mention Russia even once, he did talk about conflict in Ukraine, and he said that this conflict is let me translate it, challenge for the centuries, challenge of the century for the West. And I don't know what he meant, but I do believe Ukrainian conflict did already show and will show to entire world even more that era of Western domination is coming to the end. And in that sense, this conflict truly is a challenge of the century for the Western elites, because they're gonna lose. They're gonna lose not just in Ukraine, but they're gonna lose all over the world, and they're gonna end up being isolated. And then it will be turn of Western societies to take them out and establish some proper new elite, which will be, welcomed in the rest of the world. That's how this will play out. At least I hope so, And few informations more. Let me check. Oh, it's already 33 minutes. Come on, man. So we have here information. This is TASS News Agency again, and we have information from Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, Alexander Novak, who said that on February, Russia already had contracts for all oil that it wants to sell, which means that even despite Western sanctions, Russia is exporting its oil quite without significant difficulties, let's say this way. So okay, I'm gonna finish, man. This is information from Kommersant, which says that U.S. deficit in let me translate this for you. So U.S. trade deficit rises to record $948 billion, which is showing that U.S. economy not really in a good shape if they have this much deficit, And to be said in simple terms, U.S. are importing more and more and exporting less and less. And until U.S. is in the hands of war criminals and mass murderers. That's how I will describe US elites. For rest of the world, this data is good, because weaker USA will come, less chances those destructive US elites will have to do some damage to humanity. That's simple true, man. So this is it. This is it for now. This is it for now. I hope you find this video interesting. And if so, please consider to subscribe if you are new. And please hit that like button. Leave some commentary about any topic you like. And if you can, share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Telegram, Facebook, or any other internet platform that you are active on. This is it for now. Have a nice day and take care.